I just finished interviewing James Mahan. He's the co-owner and developer of this huge project in New Braunfels called Solms Landing. Solms Landing is a mixed-use development. It's all residential right now, but the commercial part is coming, and it's going to change the way we live in New Braunfels. So stay tuned to this interview as we dive into his development, talk about what's coming to Solms Landing, and so much more. James, thanks for being here.
Thank you for coming out.
You're a busy
really
guy.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we got a lot going on out here. Excited to share it with the community and let everyone know what we have going on here at Solms Landing.
So you're one of two principal owners, developers at Solms Landing, right?
Correct.
And I'm doing some reading on you beforehand, and you're a local guy.
Yeah, I've been here about 15 years now, was born and raised in San Antonio, went to school in Austin, and got back here as fast as I could.
Okay, so is it easier than to take on a project of this magnitude, Solms Landing, which is mixed-use development, it's going to be huge at build-out, if you're from the area, or is it more challenging?
You know, I think there's some pros and cons to both, but I think the pros are definitely outweigh the cons. You know, the advantage that we have being local is that we can see things changing in real time. Yeah. When you think about demographics and just people moving to the area, a lot of times, you know, out of town firms will not know what's really happening for 12, 18 months. Mm-hmm. We get to see that in real time. So I think that's a huge advantage. The other advantage I think is that, you know, people see us in the community. We'll run into people eating dinner. People know our kids at the school. So I think that that really lets the community know that, you know, we basically have their back. We're developing in a way that I think benefits us, but then also benefits the community because we're part of the community here.
Okay, so I mean, is there gratification for you that you are from the area and you lived here for several years before going off to UT?
Yep.
And back right now that, hey, you want to make an impact on this town. Is that part of it too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think New Braunfels is a very unique city. I think we have a lot of heritage here, but then also we have a lot of unique opportunities just due to our location being between San Antonio and Austin. But I think that obviously, as a lot of people know, that comes with some challenges too on the growth side. And so I think we have a unique ability to create a destination that I think the community will be really proud of.
So let's talk about Solms Landing because I'm excited. We talked about it on our YouTube channel for 4 years now. It's 98 acres and It's mixed-use development, and we're seeing not a lot of mixing right now. It's all residential, correct? So we have apartments. Some are finished.
Yep.
Others are getting finished. We have the farmhouse in the back, which the first project of Solms Landing 3 years ago broke ground.
Yeah, it broke ground right after COVID. So in the summer of, in the spring of 2021 is when we broke ground.
And then the house we're sitting in right now.
Yeah.
This is the other project. This is the cottage-style homes by West Peoples.
Correct.
Are you impressed?
Yeah, we love the product. I'll tell you that we bought actually 2 houses in here. So we kind of view this as a great opportunity for a variety of end users to purchase in here. You know, I think that you can have your first-time home buyers. It's a great price point for those individuals, but then also for a lot of people that are just looking more for that lock and leave type product. And that's what we've tried to deliver so far in Solms was that we saw a lot of housing being built around here, but we felt there were some unique kind of niche products that weren't being delivered. That I think Town Creek did a great job of kind of being the first to the market in a lot of those unique products, and we saw how successful that was. And so we wanted to deliver a lot of those unique kind of housing options over here at Solms.
Is this in step with the city's, high density? People want to move here. They want affordable housing at the same time. So is this kind of lockstep with the city's strategic plan?
Yeah, I think it hits a lot of those boxes. As you mentioned, lock and leave is important, but also that missing middle. I mean, we've seen housing prices here obviously go up quite a bit, and it's becoming to the point where it's unaffordable for a lot of people, which that's what we really liked about this specific product that we're sitting in today, was that it basically was able to deliver a high quality, home in a mixed use development, but also at a very affordable price point. And so I think between that and then just encouraging the walkability, I think that hits a lot of the strategic goals.
So you just mentioned, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Walkability. The W word, the walkability, because we, with the exception of a small section, James, downtown, because Arlen's technically is a grocery store.
Yep.
So that's walkable, entertainment there, you have jobs there, office space and so forth. But that's it. I mean, New Braunfels is very car dependent. So we have the residential part almost down here.
Yep.
Now we're leading to the commercial stuff. So I'm going to give you the floor for this. What are some of the cool projects coming up at Solms Landing?
Yeah, and so I think the walkability is what was one of the key drivers for us. You had this huge area over here in Creekside that it's great in a lot of ways. It creates a lot of convenience, but at the same time, it was very much a car-dependent still development. And so when we saw what was happening over in this area, we thought that there was a huge opportunity to create that walkability. Now, the great thing is we've got a lot of support from the city, as you know, and the Alligator Creek Trail System, which we're very excited to see because I think that is kind of a game changer for this area. As you mentioned, right now, if you want something walkable, you're going downtown.
Sure.
Yet there's a lot of people that are moving to this area and probably don't want to necessarily drive on a daily basis. Right. And so I think that trail system will be, a key component for this area, which, we're excited to be a part of. But then also, as you mentioned, the commercial uses. And so I think that, when we looked at this area from the very beginning, we saw a huge opportunity to bring in unique, entertainment-based concepts that could fill a void over here. It's great. You've got your Best Buy, you've got your Target, you've got your big box shopping. But really, as you mentioned, for entertainment, you were still going to Green or downtown. And so we felt like there was a huge void in that. So that's been, from day one of our biggest goals is to bring entertainment to this area that is unique to the area. And frankly, we think we'll draw in people not just from New Braunfels and not just from Creekside, but potentially from other areas as well.
So let's talk about the commercial side, Solms Landing. We know that there's going to be luxury shopping. That's what's planned, right?
Yep.
Upscale dining.
Yes.
There's going to be office spaces. There's going to be a farmer's market that's more than once a week. Well, that's what's planned.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Trails, some green space.
Yes.
And what else am I missing here?
So our first phase of commercial, we've been working on our permits now, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize, is that you announce something and then everyone wants to see it built, the next day.
Yeah.
And it's a funny kind of give and take that's like, okay, do I announce something early? Do I announce it later? Is it more of a surprise? And so some of the key components that we have announced, as you mentioned, are the farmers market that we're excited about. Where it's going to be going in right across the street from here. So, let me back up a little bit. That was one of the things that we wanted to make sure of as it related to the residential is when we planned our residential, our goal was to try and build the residential around the commercial so that hopefully we can minimize the amount of cars on the road as opposed to adding to that. So the idea here is that with the trail system and everything, people should be able to walk from every residential component within Solms Landing to the commercial areas. So on the commercial side, we've got the farmers market that's in the works. The other project that we're really excited about that, knock on wood, will be breaking ground in the next 30 days is the courthouse. And that's going to
be... it's coming then.
It's coming.
All right. Yeah. So that's the pickleball, live music, stuff for the kids.
Yeah,
food.
So absolutely. So, we started looking at some of these concepts like chicken and pickle in other cities. And pickleball is obviously a very fast growing sport. Yeah. But also we felt that it was a great sport for this community. The community here in New Braunfels has a deep history of tennis. Yeah. Pickleball is kind of taking a lot of that market share now. And so when we looked at it, we were like, all right, how do we create something unique? And so we searched out a group, and we've been working on permits for about 7-8 months now, but knock on wood, we're going to have it done in the next 30-45 days, and we're really excited to get that going.
Break ground sometime end of summer, early fall?
Yeah, and we're looking at probably about an 8-9 month construction time period.
That's fine. Listen, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming, yeah.
So I like that because the last 2 years, I think it was because of where the market was, coming soon didn't mean coming in 6 minutes like it typically does in New Braunfels, right?
Exactly.
It's like, well, this is what's planned. I went from coming soon to here's what's planned, guys. All right, I'm going to use the word plan from now on.
Exactly.
So that's great. That's getting going. And then how long is this permitting process? Can it take up to months or?
I think that the permitting process is never an easy process anywhere. The city of New Braunfels has been great. They've streamlined some of those processes. They brought in some third-party reviewers to help expedite that. But in a typical project, you're looking at probably a 4 to 6 month time period from when something submits permits to when we can break ground.
What's the biggest need then? Is it the utilities? Is it the water? What takes the longest part? Just to see if you can get all that stuff out here?
And I don't think there's necessarily a part that takes longer than anyone. I think that the city of New Braunfels is doing a great job with what they have in the sense that, you look at how much we've grown over the last 5-6 years. With that growth comes a lot of new permits. And so it's just a process. But the advantage that we have here in Solms is that we have a master plan in place. So a lot of that infrastructure is already in the ground. If you went to a new site, you have to look at off-site detention. You have to look at, do you have utilities? All of that stuff is already provided for, which I think is a great advantage to end users, but I also think that's very smart on the city's perspective, and that if you look at us, if you look at Veramendi, if you look at Mayfair, because of that, the city can plan ahead, and they kind of know what to expect and what's coming. And so I think that it gives them a more detailed involvement in that process, so that hopefully we can craft these developments in a way that everyone's proud of, like I said, 20 years from now.
Residential first, courthouse, that upscale entertainment venue coming next, and then things. Can you give it? I don't want to press you on timeline. I'd rather have it done and then tell us, but no, I'm kind of curious. So when's the rest coming?
Yeah, so we've got our next phase of retail will actually be at the intersection of Sophie Lane and 306. So we've got some retail coming up there.
On the frontage, on the
the frontage right there at the light intersection.
Right.
We've got part of that under contract, and part of it's about to submit for permits.
Can you tell us what kind of retail?
So we are looking for, even up there, we've been trying to find things that are unique to the area. And so we're looking for restaurant concepts, retailers, things like that are not necessarily one-offs, but also we're going to try and make them be the first one here in New Braunfels.
Okay, so you're under contract with a retailer, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that's the one that's under permitting right now?
Correct, yeah.
Can you say who it is?
It's going to be a chicken restaurant.
Okay, good.
Chicken
wings, chicken...
no, more of like a sit-down style.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So what else? What else? Because now we're becoming walkable.
Oh, absolutely.
Trails, green space, a place to entertainment. You're going to have restaurants.
Yeah.
The farmers market.
Yes.
That's the one that...
Yeah. So, so the farmers market's been an interesting one, because we really got inspiration from that after going and seeing some of the developments like at the Pearl. The Pearl's farmers market started off just one day a week, and then it kind of grew from there. And, we love the New Braunfels farmers market, don't want to take anything away from that. But when we really started looking at it, it was like, okay, we think there's an opportunity to deliver fresh produce from local vendors on a daily basis. And, that's kind of hard to do when you have an outside concept, because we know the weather around here. Sometimes it's super hot, and then sometimes we get these bad storms. And so when we really started looking at that, we thought there was an opportunity to create an indoor farmers market. You see these in a lot of areas. At the Pearl, they just opened up Pullman's Market. I don't know if you've been there yet, but if you haven't
been there lately, but
it's impressive.
Okay.
And so that's very much what we wanted.
So that's indoors?
Yes, it's indoors.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool. It was I think it's an old glass company that they converted into. And they've got 3 or 4 restaurants in there. They've got, you go in there and they've got fresh produce, but then they've got fresh spaghetti, fresh tortillas, fresh fish.
So have you been recruiting this company, or?
No, so we're actually we're going to be self-developing the market, and then we're going to be working with local vendors in and around the New Braunfels area. The unique thing we have here is, if you think about it, we've got a lot of farmers that are east of here, and that's not just on like the produce side, but you've got a lot of meat cattle, people like that. And so we think that there's a real opportunity to partner with those people and bring them in, sell fresh product on a daily basis.
Anything else that's coming to Solms Landing that you can think of?
Yeah, so I can tell you we're working on another big entertainment, and that's kind of what I would say is like our message at the end of the day, is that I've got kids here, and candidly, I'm tired of driving to other cities for birthday parties.
Right.
And so when we think about New Braunfels is great in a lot of ways, but there aren't a lot of entertainment options for that 10 to 18 range.
Sure.
Rumor is Evo's expanding. That'll be great for the community. Obviously, Topgolf coming will be great. But those are the type of things that we really want to focus on, is entertainment-based options that can be geared towards the families around here. And so we've got a big one that we're working on. Hopefully, we'll be able to announce it probably in the next 6-7 months.
So it's going to be similar maybe to pickleball, that you can bring your kids?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that's been our, we think that that's kind of the missing segment here. If you want to go to a good bar, there's some great bars downtown.
Sure.
But other than really, Freiheit, there's not a lot of great places that you can take your family and not have to worry about it. And so that was one of the key components of the pickleball concept, candidly, was that they're going to have a playscape there. They're going to have an area for kids. There's going to be a lot of TVs. The programming's designed around families. And that's really what our focus here is, that we want the place to be accessible to, the community.
Green space, trails in Solms Landing?
Yeah, so we've got kind of our first set of trail system. You can see it. It's actually right behind this development. And then our plan is to connect eventually with the city's master plan. most people don't know this, so you'll kind of be the first one.
Okay.
So we recently acquired an additional 7 acres between us and the KB Homes neighborhood next door.
Sure.
It was basically just being used as open space by them, and there was no plan. And so we worked with their HOA, and we acquired that about 3-4 months ago. And our plan with that is to create another additional kind of 7-acre linear park that will connect to the city's hike and bike trail.
So if we're looking out this window here, it's next,
Yep, right here. It'll basically run parallel to our development and then Freiheit and the KB home neighborhood.
Okay.
And it'll actually run parallel to the city's hike and bike trail too. So that'll kind of create a additional opportunity for people that are not just in this community, but using that entire trail system to have another little pocket park right there.
I'm just curious, have you, because it's so hot here, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of really thinking outside the box here. At like Dubai, like you go there and they have these sprayers and everything.
Absolutely.
You guys ever thought about what's...
Well, what's interesting is that is something that we had to think about here because, I mean, you can kind of look around. There's no trees, right? It used to be a family farm. And so when we think about even like the pickleball concept, the shade is going to be a key driver of that.
Yeah.
And that was actually another reason why when we started looking at the farmer's market, it was like, okay, it's indoors.
Yeah.
How much more will people come to a farmer's market that's indoors as opposed to having to deal with the heat and everything else? And so I think there's going to be a great opportunity with that to be open 7 days a week, and then when the weather's great, we can expand outdoors and bring a few more extra vendors and stuff like that over there.
When do you plan? I'm not asking you a finish date. James, I'm not going to ask you the end date here. When is the projection? We'll use that softer word. When is the projected build-out date? Like when you're going to have all this stuff in place, or what's your expectation?
I think 24 months from now, Solms Landing is going to look like a whole different development.
Okay.
I think that over probably the next 4 or 5 years is when you'll see it continue to get built out. And our goal is probably within the next 5-6 years to be fully built out. But I do think, like I said, I know a lot of people have been saying, okay, when's the commercial kicking off? I think 24 months from now is going to be a very different atmosphere over here. And I think that, that doesn't just have to do with us. Like I said, that'll have to do with the trail system going in. That has to go with Topgolf going in across the street. I think that when people come to Creekside 24 months from now, it's going to look very, very different.
Now, you first kind of started this planning, in 2017? Was it before then, 2018?
So we started this process in 2018.
Okay, 2018.
Yeah.
And it's been 6 years, so that's why people are probably asking. But
Yeah.
like you said, it's a process. We ran into COVID. We ran into higher rates. Did that have something to do with putting the putting the brakes on a little bit?
I don't know if it necessarily had putting the brakes on too much. What it did have to do is put us back at the drawing board in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about pre-COVID, I think 2019, one of the city's strategic goals was they wanted to bring Class A office space to New Braunfels. I mean, that was one of the top 5 goals.
Mm-hmm.
We agreed with that. And so when you look at our original plans from 5 years ago, we had a lot more office space on the plan. COVID happened. We had to adjust.
Yeah.
And so I think that it hasn't necessarily slowed things down in the sense that, we've been moving forward. We've got a lot of end users interested, but what it has done is adjusted the plan in certain ways. We had originally planned right across the street from here. We had a big office building plan. We started pre-leasing that right before COVID. COVID happened. No one wanted 15,000 square feet of office space anymore, and so we had to pivot on that.
Yeah.
But I think that that's good in the sense that you look at some of these markets, and some of these markets candidly probably are way too heavy dependent on office space right now. They got kind of ahead of the game, whereas here we had the ability to shift, and I will say that the city's been great with that. We've gone back in and revised our master plan a couple of times, and they've understood that, hey, the market's changing, let's change with it. But at the end of the day, the vision from the original intent is still being executed.
All right, so I have to bring this up because when I'm reading your bio, right?
Yeah.
I'm seeing your likes.
Yeah.
You're passionate about. What is this Mutt's Canine Cantina all about? And is this something you're going to bring here?
Yeah. So, once again, when we thought about unique entertainment type destinations, it's interesting when you look at the demographics and how demographics are changing in the sense that so many young people are having pets now instead of kids.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you've got a lot of baby boomers that are saying, I don't have any kids anymore. I'm home by myself. What do? They go and buy a dog.
Yeah.
And so we started looking at, unique kind of entertainment options. And we felt like that was a great one. We reached out to them. They've got locations in Dallas and Austin. And so, yeah, we're excited about them. We've got a space kind of planned for them up front. Okay. And they've just now opened their location in Austin about 6 months ago. That was a tumultuous process for them, but they got that one open. And so now they're happy to kind of be looking to expand down the corridor. So yes, it's still coming and still planned.
How important, James, is it for you to be lockstep also with the city's strategic planning? One of the goals from the city, part of that planning is connectivity. So improve connectivity,
Yeah.
which is walkable areas. Is that something you knew already, or is that something you just kind of fell into?
No, I think that that's been a key driver from us from the very beginning. Once again, we live here. We know some of the concerns that people have related to traffic and infrastructure. And so when we really started planning Solms from the beginning, we wanted to do our best to, as I mentioned earlier, try and take cars off the road as opposed to putting more cars on the road.
Sure.
And so when we look at, our Sophie Drive, which is our main connector that goes into Creekside, we think that long term, when you look at the north-south collector being expanded, this will be a great alternative to people getting stuck on I-35. So hopefully we're helping alleviate traffic rather than adding to that problem.
So let's talk about that, because Top Golf, according to the EDC, is slated to bring an additional 200,000 people to Creekside. All right.
Big number.
So we got a lot happening.
Yeah.
Solms Landing, your project, across the street, Creekside, Sprouts, Top Golf, new restaurants, possibly new apartments, possibly EOS Gym Fitness Center.
Yep.
There's a lot happening. Is there any, we know the city and the county is allocating funds for Top Golf to improve infrastructure to handle this.
Yeah.
I think the city provided you with some infrastructure funds as well.
Yeah, so we did something a little bit unique and different than Creekside. We did what's called a public improvement district. So it's much more similar to a WID or a MUD that you're seeing in like Veramindy and Mayfair.
Okay. How do people, I mean, they see all this stuff coming, which they may be excited about.
Yeah.
But how are they supposed to get in and out of this area?
Yeah, and what's interesting is that was a topic of conversation that we've had with the city, and I know that the Creekside developer has actively had with the city as well. And I think that making the area more walkable is one of the key components to that. Just because if you think about the greater Creekside area, in the next 3 or 4 years, you're going to have probably 10,000 people living in this area.
Mm-hmm.
You think about Mayfair. If Mayfair adds another 6,000 residents, I mean, that's another, that's a lot more people in this area.
Yeah.
And so I think that you can only do so much on the roads. The roads they're big as they're probably going to get. And so I think looking creatively to say, okay, how do we get people around here not on a vehicle? Whether that's bikes, whether it's walking, whether it's golf carts. I think that that's going to be the key thing, is creating that integrated, connected trail system here in the greater Creekside area that really provides that walkability to this area.
Okay, so the focus is being less car dependent.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that we can manage this and people can, because it's natural for even me to think, okay, this is great, but how are we supposed to get in and out without going through several traffic light cycles?
Yeah, and I think that, like I said, I think the city's doing a great job. TxDOT's obviously doing some expansion, and so I think that there's stuff being done behind the scenes that'll hopefully alleviate some of that traffic. But at the end of the day, I do think it's up to the local developers and the developers of this area to do their part too, in order to try and help alleviate that as best as we can.
Is across the street is your neighbor, Creekside?
Yep.
Is it also competition?
Absolutely. Okay. So yeah, and so that is one of the challenges that we have, is that when we look at the greater Creekside area, New Braunfels in general, to an out-of-town firm going on Solms Landing or going in Creekside or going even into Mayfair, it's not really going to make a difference. And so at the end of the day, it's probably where they think that they can get the best deal. And so what's interesting is when you look at what's going into Creekside, and then honestly on the flip side, what's coming into Solms Landing, I would be willing to bet every tenant we have has talked to Creekside at some point, because I know we've talked to almost all of their tenants. And so it's a challenge, but then at the same time, I think it's good, because once again, your success breeds success. If Creekside's successful, we're going to be more successful. If we're more successful here, Creekside's going to be more successful. So yes, are we competitors? Absolutely. But at the same time, I think we're all working towards creating a unique destination that, as you mentioned, now you don't have to drive to Austin anymore. Now you don't have to drive to San Antonio.
I think it's going to be great. I mean, just trying to be objective here as much as I can, really, but looking at, can I just live in an area? I'm not talking about going and parking and walking. We can do that in Green, downtown. We can do that in several places. It is walkable in that sense. But from a living perspective, just saying, hey, I could actually live in Solms Landing, or I can live in Creekside now, or live in Farmhouse.
Yep.
And it's still walkable.
Yeah.
So, schools may pick up the kids for school. That's fine. But you can get to the parks, walkability. You can get to the grocery store, groceries. You can get to entertainment. You can get to businesses, offices, jobs, and so forth, and medical.
Yep. And even on the school side, I think that we're in a unique position here because if you think about it, every school that your kids would go to, even starting at birth, there's multiple preschools around this area.
Yeah.
And then you've got the elementary school right across the street, you've got the middle school right across the street, and then the high school. I can't actually think of another area where even the school districts are as walkable as they are over here. And so I think that that's, once again, kind of a key component, but also that's a challenge that we have to address and make sure that we're providing that walkability, because at the end of the day, you have to make sure it's safe for the kids to be able to walk to school, but you also do want to encourage that with everything that's going on.
Are you taking on any more projects right now?
My wife would pray that I answer that no. It's always a challenge, doing a project of this size. But my partner and I have said we've been presented opportunities in other cities, and New Braunfels is home to us. And so, if the right project comes along here in New Braunfels that we think that we can deliver a unique vision again, absolutely. And so, I will tell you that we're working on a couple things. Hopefully, we have some more to share in the next few months. And once again, I think it's going to be something that the community is really excited about.
Separate from Solms Landing?
Separate from Solms Landing.
Near Zip Family Sports?
Possibly in that area. What I'll tell you is I think that there's some key areas of New Braunfels that could utilize some additional commercial, and that's really what we're focused on. We think there's a lot of great developers out there. There's a lot of great home builders. That's not our space. Where we really want to go is where we can create a unique destination that benefits the area. And so I think that if an opportunity like that presents itself, we're interested.
You have, James, your finger on the pulse. Okay. Where do you see New Braunfels 5-10 years from now?
I think that it's going to be very different in the sense that up until now, if you wanted to be a developer in New Braunfels, there was land to find for the most part. If you even look at the city's own estimates, I think we're supposed to be out of land by 2035 or something. Yeah. And that's completely gone. I mean, if you think about it, like we're already very rapidly approaching that number. And so I think that it's going to be interesting to me to see how that impacts things in the sense that, typically what you'll see is when you run out of land, you start seeing these redevelopments, which I think can be really cool, right? I mean, you think about New Braunfels and the projects that we have coming up in the city that are redevelopment projects that 15, 20 years ago never would have happened because someone would have been just looking at a green site. Yeah. So you think about, you've got the co-op being redeveloped. You potentially have the Castell project. You've got River Mill, ADM. I mean, all of those projects by themselves are transformational projects. But when you really look at all of those combined, there's really not another city in this area that can say we've got 4 or 5 transformational infill type projects. And so I think that you're going to go from seeing, not saying that you're not going to have master plan developments like us and Veramindy and Mayfair. Those are going to keep doing very well. But to me, I think the greatest opportunity over the next 5 years is switching from those new developments to looking at these unique infill projects. And so I'm excited to see where that kind of goes. And I think that has the potential to transform, a lot of that downtown area and potentially River Mill as well.
Developer, business owner, husband.
Yep.
Father.
Yep. Knocked them all out.
When it's all said and done, what do you want to be known for?
I think that the biggest thing for me is creating somewhere that 15, 20, 30 years from now, you can look back on it and say, man, that really benefited the community. Mm-hmm. It's a place that people spent time together, people built relationships. And so I think that that's the biggest driver for us is creating that. I can tell you that my daughter just moved back here for college. She's going to be going to Texas State. She was going to University of Arkansas. And so when we started looking at it, it's like, okay, where do we want her to be? We bought one of these houses over here for her. Okay. And so, I think that being a part of the community and really just driving home the fact that we have a unique opportunity in New Braunfels to create something that, candidly, other markets can't create, and they're probably a little bit jealous of, but I think that that's the biggest thing.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I'm excited, and thank you for this opportunity and for coming out, and we're really excited to share things as they progress, and hopefully you'll see a lot more on that commercial side.
I know you're busy, so.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So Solms Landing will look very different in the next 24 months. I'm looking forward to that. You heard that straight from the developer 2 years from now. Very different. I'm excited about the first commercial project, the pickleball venue, the farmers market, and how this area will transform into a walkable area. What about you? What do you think about what's coming to Solms Landing, what's here already? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you'd like to live near all these new changes and existing things in New Braunfels, of course, I'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can email me, you can call me, or you can shoot me a text. As always, thank you so much for watching our videos, and we'll see you on the next one.